Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Pod Scum. This right here is the podcast where we dive into the deepest, darkest, murkiest waters with a plethora of legendary guests. I am, of course, your host, your bastard of ceremonies, the numero uno scumbag, Rex Ruger. That's Rex with 3 X's. You might also know me as AKA the King of Sleaze, AKA the Hair Metal High Priest, and most importantly, Diamond David Lee Roth Jr. Take a look, and it's undeniable. We all know it, that you're looking at the son of glam, the front man for the band. I got a million fans. I'm your ice cream man, Mr. Wah Babaloo Baba Wah Bam Bam Shazam. Hot damn. Looking good, as is everybody in the house. And that is, of course, made possible by spray responsibly out there, kids. Comes in industrial strength and light. Coming to you as always from the lush lavender lounge of love. Joined as always by my bailiff, my consigliere, my best friend, my homeboy, Pete Hernandez, puppet, ladies and gentlemen, standing by. And I would like to invite all of you to all rise. Judge Rex Ruger presiding for this episode, which I am very excited about. This is, of course, the No Frills podcast. You don't get no frills because you get plenty of thrills. And that is, of course, looking at these luscious faces. Plus, we don't know how to work technology over on here, on this side of things. So we give you what we give you, which is pretty damn good content. And today is no different. Court is in session today with a real, true, bona fide OG legend of television. Folks, I'm excited about this one. This guy's face has just been a staple in our household, you know, gracing our television set for years and years and years. My wife, epic fan. So I'm very excited. I am very, very excited and honored to be joined by today's guest. Honored. I mean, it's a thrill for me. It's a thrill. This man is a legend, a bona fide legend. I know nobody out there is surprised because you've all come to expect this from me, but you know, he's here now. Let's let him describe how much of a legend he really is and chop it up with him here on Pod Scum. Let's do it. Where is Mr. PETRI HAWKINS-BYRD? Look at this guy. That's a legend right there, folks. Can you hear me, sir?
Yep.
Oh, listen, it is a real honor to be joined by you, sir. Let me first say that your face has graced our television probably for more hours in our household than probably any other show. My wife is just a tremendous fan and therefore sucked me into being a huge fan. You've been a staple in our life. 25 years. You did the whole show run, did you not?
I did.
You were there from the get-go, sir. I mean, I salute you for that. But before I get into asking you about any Judge Judy questions, I would really like to, because I think what you do from a philanthropy standpoint is absolutely amazing. And I just like to get your take on these different endeavors that you do and what they mean to you. National chairman of the OK program. That's something you're still involved in?
So I am no longer the national chairman, but I am a board member of the OK program in Oakland, California. Okay. And so I continue involved in that capacity to this day.
The one that I really love is the Teach Them to Fish.
Okay, so Teach Them to Fish is actually a program that I developed. Is based on Luke 2, chapter 52, where it says that Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and favor with God and with man. So right. He grew mentally, physically, spiritually, socially, It also involves that old adage: if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach him to fish, you feed him for a lifetime.
Absolutely.
And so I developed a program that I actually implemented several times up in the Sacramento area, in which I bring local achievers from the community. In whatever endeavor they happen to be involved. I had a CHP captain come in and talk about encounters with the police and how to deal with those. I had a chef from a renowned restaurant, El Fanayo. The head chef was a young black man from New Orleans who just happened to get an opportunity to be a sous chef with a prominent chef in New Orleans, and he was hired to be the head chef at this place, El Fanayo. I had him come in and teach about basic meals that you can make, low budget meals that you can make. I had a former football player for the Atlanta Falcons come in and talk about health issues, and exercises that one can do that are low impact, but give you a great return on those exercises. So those are just some examples of people that I had come in and do workshops with young people to teach them to fish, to give them an opportunity to know that there are other classes and other workshops that they can take advantage of for free, and help start them off on the road to lifelong education. So I've had several organizations inquire as to how to run Teaching the Fish, and I tell them, it's simple. Just find the people in your community who are successful in their endeavor, and expose the young kids to those individuals, those achievers. You don't take swimming lessons from drowning men.
Right. I hope not. But why is this such a passionate thing? All these seem to be programs kind of akin to mentoring. Is that something that stems from your upbringing? Like, why so passionate about that? And first of all, all of these, just such amazing programs, so worthwhile and so needed. I think when you're seeing so many young people, unfortunately falling through the cracks. But what got you on fire for these causes?
So I've always been blessed. I'd say from probably ages about age 21, moving forward to in my 30s, I've always been blessed with an opportunity to work with youth. I ran a recreation center in Brooklyn, 150 kids a day. I worked in daycare with 5-year-olds. I did summer day camps with youth age pretty much age 6 through 18. And so I've always had this opportunity to work with youth, and I know that coming up, I didn't have many mentors. I didn't have, especially male mentors. I didn't have many to look up to as I was coming up, and so a lot of things were either self-taught by me or done through trial and error. And the saving grace was that I loved education. I loved going to school. I loved excelling in school and doing well in school. And so I would say that my greatest mentors in school were my teachers, and some of them took a greater interest in me than they were being paid to do. And
above and beyond.
Yeah. And for me, that's what mentoring is all about. It's about you going beyond self and realizing that God has placed in each one of us a gift. And that gift is to be given away, is to be expended on people. And your reward comes in being able to see somebody do better.
I love that sentiment.
So I pretty much lived that and have lived that, most of my adult life. So.
Now, a lot of people might be surprised to hear this, but when I was getting some bullet points and digging and doing my research in anticipation of our conversation, Entertainment seemed to be a route that you were interested in early on. Am I to believe that you were pretty good with the comedy and the impressions and things of that nature when you were young?
Yeah, I was. I was a TV kid.
Yeah.
I was a cinephile, man. I just loved the movies. I had my mother's sister, my Aunt Pat. When she was a teenager, so when she was like 16, she's 7 years older than me, and I was 9. She would always take me to the movies with her and her friends on Saturday afternoon. She had a group of friends, male and female, who she hung out with, and every Saturday they would go up to the local theaters, local movie theaters, and go to the matinee. And I remember, like seeing the Ten Commandments for the first time, watching the parting of the Red Sea, man. We were sitting in that movie theater like awestruck. I remember seeing movies like Patch of Blue with Sidney Poitier and A Man Called Adam with Sammy Davis Jr., Frankie and Johnny with Elvis Presley. And so, and all this came from my exposure to the movies, and then TV wise, I loved watching Ed Sullivan, Red Skelton, Carol Burnett, and their guests would always strike me, as being very comedic and very talented, and I had a gift for mimicry, so I could do impersonations, and so much so that my father. My father had friends who were slightly incarcerated, and they would call our house on Sunday, and my father would put me on the phone, and he would say, "Do Edward G. Robinson, do James Cagney, do Dean Martin, do Sidney Poitier."
So you're providing entertainment for the inmates.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like just because you're locked up doesn't mean you don't want to be entertained.
Absolutely.
And I'm pretty sure there were no TVs in there at the time. So
now, you also like to do some writing though too, right? Poetry, screenplays.
I do. Always loved poetry. Was inspired by the likes of County Cullen, Langston Hughes, Amiri Baraka. The Last Poets, especially the Last Poets, man. Last Poets and Gil Scott-Heron and Nikki Giovanni, just Elizabeth Barrett Browning, So I had there was a cross section of poets that came into my purview, and I always enjoyed taking my little stab at it, because what I loved was that when I learned poetry didn't have to rhyme, that set me free. I was like, oh, I can just express my ideas and use my metaphors and all that kind of stuff. So I had a really, really great time writing and creating poetry.
I'm interested in getting your take when you're in these getting back to the mentoring programs, when you're mentoring young people. This is obviously something, you being in your 60s, something you experienced way back when with the unfortunate segregation and Jim Crow laws back in the day. But then here in the 21st century, we see the George Floyd incident happen right in front of our eyes. A man murdered. Almost brings me to tears even thinking about it. Did any of the kids that you mentor or the young men that you mentor have a hard time wrapping their heads around that happening in today's world? And what do you tell them? What were your feelings when that all went down?
Well, most of my students that I've mentored over the years, they're grown-ups, and they actually have children of their own who are some of whom are in their teens. I recently heard from one of my mentees, his son is 21 years old and playing college football, and I was like, 21?
Amazing,
I said, wait a minute, how old does that make me?
Where does it go? I know.
If you have a 21-year, I knew your son before I knew you, before the age that your son is now.
Pretty crazy.
But what I hear from my mentees is how discouraging it is to think that the history that I exposed them to and told them about, through taking them to museums, to art galleries, to being the what was the term, being the for their quote unquote Black Student Union,
Okay.
being the faculty advisor. That was the phrase I was looking for. In being that to them and trying to set an example of the profits of lifelong education. They learned about the civil rights movement and things like that, and to find themselves in a position nowadays to have to explain to their children, that you have to be careful out there in those streets. If an officer stops you, you have to cooperate. You have to actually worry about what's going to happen to you in your own community. That you are probably 10 times more likely to experience violence at the hand of somebody that looks like you.
Right.
You know, those
Right.
those are things, man, that have been going on since, at least with Black people, since arriving on the shores of this country, and for it to still be a prominent situation nowadays it can really be disheartening.
Sure.
And the only thing I can tell them is you have to keep living your life in the purpose that God has created you for. You can't walk in fear. You have to walk in awareness, and make sure that you always know where you are. Be aware of your surroundings. Be kind to everybody that you can be kind to, and just make sure that you keep your eyes open and that you stay aware.
Yes.
But other than that, man, sometimes I have to cry with them. I have to pray with them, and I mean really, really, really pray with them. Not just lip service prayer, but like I have to, as an aside here, recently I was reminded that there is an enemy that is out there constantly, and it's not about it's a white enemy or it's an Asian enemy or it's an enemy from another planet. There's just an enemy, and his whole purpose, according to the Bible, is to steal, kill, and destroy. John 10:10 says the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. That is his whole mission. And I started realizing, I said, you know what? I said, my nieces and nephews and mentees and my children, and they're ill prepared for this enemy. This enemy is unseen. This is unseen, and the only thing that is going to be effective against this enemy is what is prepared in your heart and your mind. And the word of God has to be in your heart and your mind. So I made a deal with God that for 365 days, and I am on day 34 of it now, for 365 days, every day, I would send a scripture out to my nieces, nephews. I have them all on a text thread, and I would every day supply them with the word of God, which is like putting arrows in their quiver, because
Absolutely.
otherwise they're going into the battle. You can have the bow, but if you got no ammunition,
Yeah.
you got nothing to fire at the enemy.
100%.
And so that word in your heart and your mind, that is that prepares you to deal with this unseen enemy that is constantly on the prowl and whose only mission is to steal, kill, and destroy. You remember the
Agreed.
old, what was it? The old Lost in Space episode?
Yeah.
Crush, kill, destroy.
Yeah.
That's all this, crush, kill, destroy.
Yeah.
Well, that's what the enemy is like.
One singular focus. Yeah.
Singular
Yeah.
focus, man. You
Yeah.
know, and so you have to stay ready so that you don't have to get ready.
Yes, I agree. So, you know, to flip the page a little bit to what people are obviously going to see your face and remember you most from is obviously, as I mentioned at the top of the interview, the 25 years with Judge Judy.
Right.
Did you ever in a million years think that when you got into being a court officer, a bailiff, that this would ever parlay into a television career, and a television career with that kind of longevity?
My man, listen. I didn't foresee being a court officer. Okay, you know.
All it's been a surprise.
I didn't foresee that. I first worked in Brooklyn Family Court. So when I went to Brooklyn Family Court in 1985, I never anticipated being transferred over to Manhattan Family Court, where I would meet my future boss, Judge Judy.
Yes.
Okay, Judge Shineland, as she was known then, back in Manhattan Family Court back in 1986.
Let's get her name right. We don't want her to hold us in contempt. We want to get the name right.
Right.
I don't want contempt of court here.
I never foresaw leaving New York and moving to California, moving to Northern California. I never saw myself working at a high school as a counselor. I never saw myself reading Liz Smith's gossip column one day and seeing a name in there that I recognized, Judge Judy Shineland.
Yeah.
And finding out that they were developing a TV show for her. I wrote a letter to congratulate her. I never anticipated that the joke in the letter, okay, the joke at the end of the letter, the postscript was, P.S. If you ever need a bailiff, I still look good in uniform.
Yes.
Never anticipated that she would read that and call me to thank me for the letter and offer me a job on her upcoming show. Yeah. Yeah. Which I was already in California for. Never foresaw that. And so to answer your question, I never saw 25 years of Judge Judy. I never read that in my future, but thank God that God knows better than I do.
Well, and let me also add, not only 25 years, but, you know, year after year after year, consistently the #1 court show. And there have been a lot of them. And there's been even more, you know, since the start of the 2000s, even more of an influx of them. It seems like. It seems like nowadays everybody's a TV judge. I mean, there's a lot of them out there.
Well, you know what? You know, I was talking to somebody yesterday, a former producer on the Judge Judy show. I was hanging with him last night at a jazz bar, and we were talking about it. And I told him, I said, you know what? I said, I really, really lucked out to be with the only judge who was on a judge-driven show, not a case-driven show, but a judge-driven show where everybody tuned in just to hear what she had to say. Okay. You know, because I was telling the person, I said, man, if you look at our cases, we would do the same cases over and over and over and over and over again, you know? But what made them fresh and what made them new was not knowing what Judge Judy was going to say, what was going to come out of her mouth. And I tell people for 25 years, I was as surprised as anybody at what came out of that woman's mouth.
Yeah. And I have to say also, as a fan and somebody that became a fan via my wife, who's probably watched every episode, still continues to watch the old ones on YouTube, finds whatever she can on Judge Judy. You know, there were times, and I don't know if you felt this, you know, being her sidekick, but there were some times, and I'm not a law expert, but there were times sometimes when I felt like I should be disagreeing with her. Did you ever feel like sometimes you weren't agreeing or on the same page? And I know you don't express that on the show. It's not your job to express it. But did you think sometimes in your head, I don't know, Judy, I'm not on the same page here?
Well, you know what it is. A huge part of the show has to do with being able to ascertain the veracity of what people are telling you. And looking at their body language and knowing culturally how they act, and when in a situation, a courtroom situation that
Right.
they are sworn to tell the truth in, and while they're trying to defend their position or trying to prove their particular case, so in that regard, everybody sitting at home, they can be their own Judge Judy, if you will. They can be
Sure.
their own judge of whether or not what they were hearing or what they saw was the truth.
Right.
What I could say about Judge Judy is that there's an integrity to her, that even if she's wrong, even if she's extremely wrong,
Yeah.
she is honest in regards to what conclusion she comes to about the case.
Yeah.
So and for 25 years she dealt with real cases. These
Yes.
weren't, this wasn't a Byron Allen show where you had actors on
Right.
on your cases.
Right.
These were real people who
Right.
flew out, and were really looking for justice. There were times that I was diametrically opposed, to her rulings. Sometimes I thought she missed the boat. She heard something else. But as a judge, you bring into account everything about you. Your prejudices,
Right.
your leans, your bents. You
Yep.
bring those to the bench. If you had a bad morning, if she was mad at her husband Jerry, you know what I'm saying?
Uh-oh.
Sometimes you would see it, and it's like, don't be the first guy up,
Yeah.
and this case is against your ex-wife,
Yeah.
and she just had, and the judge just had an argument with her husband.
Yeah.
You might not be in a really good position at that point.
Well, that brings me to another point right here. And this is something that, I feel like a lot of the people that came on there to have their particular cases adjudicated on, I feel like certainly if they're coming and having the decisions made there in Judy's forum, that they must have been either fans or somehow know the premise of the show. Yet it continues to boggle my mind how much people seem like they come on there and don't know what the hell's going on and just act snarky and interrupt and approach the bench and just, unless people are living under a rock, how would they come there and have their case adjudicated on and not know the protocol? I mean, Judy is pretty much international, well, no.
So believe it or not, there are some people in this world who had never seen a Judge Judy case prior to actually coming on there. Remember, most of the time those people were sought out. Okay, they had their case in whatever local jurisdiction and local court in their jurisdiction.
Interesting.
They didn't file the case thinking, oh, I'm going on Judge Judy.
Okay.
They filed the case thinking I'm going in front of Judge Bopple,
right,
who nobody knows, and nobody's going to see this. Nobody's going to pay attention to this. Next
right.
thing you know, you're approached by the producers of Judge Judy. Hey, would you like to bring your case to Judge Judy's court? Hey, and here's the good part. If you win, you don't have to try to collect, because our show pays the judgment. So if you win,
right,
you get your money. Now,
right,
of course, you're taking a chance because you're in front of Judge Judy.
Right.
Okay. Who might just read you your rights and hand you your head, and you'll walk out of there having your butt chewed off.
Oh, yeah.
Which was something that you weren't expecting when you filed the case.
No, sir. No.
So a lot of times those people, would be like deers in the headlights, man, because one minute you're standing there thinking that you have a righteous case, you have a righteous cause.
Sure.
And next thing you know, this judge is dressing you down about the way you look or about the way you said something.
Yes.
Or all of a sudden you're having to defend your position, and you're the person that brought the case.
Right. Yes.
So I tell people all the time, they go, "Oh, those people on there are really stupid." I go, No, those people on there are really human.
Yes.
They're really human, and they didn't expect, He said, but they must have known about Judge Judy. I said, yeah, but when you think you're going in with a case that's clear cut in your favor, and all of a sudden the judge is is clearly against you.
Yeah. Throwing you
What do
curveballs.
you do?
Right.
You know.
Right. Now, I'm interested in also, obviously your role on the show was bailiff, but did the producers ever specifically give you anything to infuse into your quote unquote role? Obviously there were particular things that, you became synonymous with, i.e. doing the crossword puzzles, occasionally interjecting some stuff in Judy's direction. Sometimes when she would be a little cloudy on a math thing or something social media related, she would seem to pose those questions to you. Was that deliberate, or was any of that banter or your role on the show ever predetermined?
Well, no, since none of it was scripted, I could only react to what was being asked of me or what was being said towards me. The crossword puzzle, that came as a result of, if you look in courtrooms around the country, a lot of the bailiffs have to sit through long trials and say nothing.
Right.
We don't offer anything. We're virtually never on record. So you're sitting there and you're absorbing all this information. Whether or not it's interesting depends on your disposition, but half the time we're trying to stay awake. And so that's where the crossword puzzle came in. I used to do 3 in Manhattan Family Court. I used to do like 3 crosswords a day, man. Yeah. Newsday, the Post, and New York Times, and the Daily News. So four crosswords a day, just trying to stay awake.
Now, do you remember any of the most of the craziest moments? Because even though you, like I said, you would do the crossword puzzles, you always seem to be ready, obviously, and it's your job to spring into action whenever things got a little crazy. And obviously, in that role, you do have to be extremely firm with people. You obviously, as a man, as a man of God, a soft-spoken man, very nice man. Was that ever anything that you wrestled with? I mean, obviously, you're being firm and respectable, but was it ever hard for you to project that, or did that come pretty naturally to you?
When your job is to maintain, Judy used to always say, "This is her playpen." You know. Well, I was like, well, fine, this is her playpen, but fundamentally, this is my house. So it really is. My responsibility is to make sure that everybody's safe, that the judge is protected, and to make sure that information gets passed between the judge and the litigants, or the litigants and the judge, and so very, very limited in terms of my duties. But for me, I had to make sure that they knew. Let me digress here for a moment.
Sure, please.
What I hear from the public most of the time when they meet me in person is, "Oh, you do smile," and I go, "Yeah." My smile is notorious amongst my folks. Amongst the people that know me. I've done stand-up comedy. I've done I've emceed shows and stuff like that, and so people know I'm notorious for my smile. However, I go, what would I look like standing up there with this, this shit-eating grin? Right. During the case, people would be like, hey, why is that guy over there laughing at me?
Like, it wouldn't make you look too formidable. That's for sure.
Exactly. So it wasn't for me. It wasn't a thing of trying to be a tough guy. It's just, this is the solemnity of where I am and what I'm dealing with. These are my surroundings, and you need to know that I mean business. If I have to step to you, or if I have to physically restrain you, or whatever the case may be, you need to know that I mean to do that, because I mean to do my job. That's it. But otherwise, I'm what a former boss of mine at the high school used to call. She used to call me the Velvet Hammer. And so she was like, "Yeah, man, you smooth as silk until you bring that hammer down." So that was my attitude on Judge Judy. Listen, being Judge Judy's bailiff is fundamentally like being the owner of of a pit bull that happens to be wearing a doily around his neck. You know,
Yeah.
I don't think I have to worry about the pit bull. Okay,
Yeah.
as my mother used to say, if you see her and a bear fighting in the woods, help the bear.
Yeah. Judge Judy's probably getting the better end of that deal for sure.
That is right.
And obviously, you know, a lot of the litigants there are coming. It's a, you know, the venue is usually for you know, for small claims court. But were there ever any times when people ever got too rowdy there, where it ever escalated to the point where you did feel a sense of danger? Real danger.
There were only a couple of times that I felt like it might get physical, which was why most of the time, you know, the judge could sense. First of all, have you have any siblings?
I'm an only child.
Oh, you're an only child. Okay,
I'm an only child.
Pretty fortunate. I have siblings. And if you go to school, if you go to the same school with your sibling, and they're in trouble with some bully or somebody at the school, whatever the case may be, you know that you can't go home and say, "Oh, I let this gang of boys beat up on my little brother or my little sister." Exactly. You know, so but it's even worse when your little sister or your little brother is antagonizing the bully. And like, yeah, that's all right. That's because my brother will kick your butt.
Yeah.
My brother will kick you. Like, stay on the other braid.
Yeah.
So that's the way I felt sometimes with Judge Judy. It's like, you've already gotten this person riled up. They're already on edge. And they're looking at me like, okay, can I take him?
Yeah.
And Judge Judy is just like, don't look at him. Look at me.
Yeah.
I'm the one, you know, and I'm like, ixnay on the Aleph Bay, you know.
But do you think any of Judy's banter though, and again, I asked about your role creatively in the show and how much of it was by design and how much of it was not by design? Judy is obviously the main focus of the show. Now, I do believe when she's up on that bench, that's her being her. And I do remember a lot of her catchphrases, you know, you can't eat the steak and not pay for it. You don't need a good memory if you're telling the truth. I've adopted a lot of these. I've adopted a lot of these in my own life, and they resonate and they stick with you. But was that always 110% the real Judy, or was she ever intentionally, do you think, throwing some gas on these fires, you know, to make for better television?
You remember the old Flip Wilson show? Remember the character Geraldine?
Yes.
Right? Well, to paraphrase Geraldine, a matter of fact, to say exactly what she says, what you see is what you get, honey. That's what it is with Judge Judy. What you see is what you get. Everything, you know, people ask me, say, is she really like that? And I go, anything you saw is authentic. That's her. If she's pouring gasoline on it, that's her. If she's if she's sympathetic towards you and grandmotherly, that's Judge Judy. That, you know, all these things are this complicated little woman called Judy Shineland. Yeah, it's all her, all for real.
So before I ask you like what you've got going in the works right now, I would like to just digress for a minute, just because of stuff that I've read in ask you how from a physical standpoint your own wife's health is. I know she had been going through some health issues.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
So my wife in March of 21 was diagnosed with a quail egg sized brain tumor on the left frontal lobe of her brain. She had a seizure March 8th, the morning of March 8th. By the afternoon of March 8th, the doctor came in and said, you know, we've done extensive tests and MRI and CAT scan and all that. And yes, she does have a tumor on her brain. And the guy looks and says, tomorrow morning, we can take it out. We can get probably 60% of it out. And I went, wait a minute, ho. Let's switch places here. She's your wife and I'm you and you're me. What would you do?
Right.
And he said, I would take her home. I would I'd look up some, you know, more information. I'd do my due diligence and look up information on what I've just told you, what I've just described to you, and I would get a second opinion. I said, okay, well, we'll go with door number 2. Okay, and we'll do that. Subsequently, She went to Cedars-Sinai. She saw Dr. Keith Black there, head of neurosurgery at Cedars-Sinai, and he informed us that he could remove up to 95% of the tumor.
Wow.
And okay, we prayed about it, and God told us that's the guy to go with.
Sure.
And I'm happy to report that my wife is in remission.
Fantastic.
Everything that she experienced behind the radiation and chemotherapy treatments, because that causes what they call radiation necrosis.
Oh yes.
And
yeah.
You got these little fires, these little embers that are still burning.
Sure.
Where radiation destroyed good cells. Well, she has come back from that, and through treatment and everything, she's doing marvelously, man.
That's great. That's great. Yeah,
she's almost 100%.
I do understand a lot of that. Me and my wife are actually both work in healthcare. We're both nurses. So,
oh wow.
So that's so that's our field. So anytime anybody brings up anything, or any of my guests have anything health related, I always key in on that and like to see like what's being done, or like what the outcome was. So wow, that's pretty crazy though. A whole nother 35% of it though being able to be taken out just by waiting and just opening some other doors and exploring some other avenues.
Oh yeah. I thank God that we're a praying household. And we firmly believe that going with God is the best way to go. So
no doubt.
He's a rewarder of those who diligently seek him, and that's what we did. So
so you've got some things in the work now, and I'm reading different articles. I'm seeing a show called Tribunal. Is that something you're part of? Okay, and you will be dusting off the bailiff uniform once again.
In fact, it is already in the can.
All right.
We have taped a full season of Tribunal. It's due to come out. Well, I don't know the release date, but they're anticipating possibly June or July. It's going to be on Amazon Freevee.
Okay.
And people see me in a new uniform, and but basically doing my usual thing.
Okay.
But this time is. So it's 3 times the judges taking 3 times as long to make a half-assed decision. No, I'm just kidding.
You said that, not me, Bird.
Well, listen. You know what? I get to say that because, man, 25 years of dealing with Judge Judy shooting from the hip. She's like, I'm not spending any more time on this. You can see it on YouTube, man. There's the record 26-second case that she did. 26 seconds it took her to do this case, and so when you're used to that, and then you get 3 people who each one feels like they got to be Perry Mason and cross-examine the witnesses and all that, again, you're just like, where is my crossword when I need it? But I think people will enjoy it. It's a lot like Hot Bench, which is another Judge Judy produced television show. So yeah, Tribunal. I think people will take a look at it and hopefully embrace it. And I don't know if I can do another 25 years, but
no, that's a lot to ask of anybody. How about Bonding with Bird? Is it now? Am I to understand that is a web series that you and your wife both do?
It is a YouTube talk show that we developed during the pandemic. We got a lot of great reviews and great press on it, and folks are waiting for us to bring it back. So we are trying to find sponsorship. We're not trying to really monetize as they say. We're not trying to monetize it so much as find some sponsors to take the weight off of production costs for us. But it's a show that we enjoy doing. I enjoy being with my wife. She makes me laugh. I make her laugh. Yeah. And subsequently, we make the world laugh. So
and what is the premise of it? What is the premise of it, though?
It developed into a talk show. It started off on Instagram with us just, kind of talking to each other. And then it was suggested that we take it on YouTube. We start off with hot topics. So we probably discuss anywhere between 8 to 10 hot topics that are going on. Since it was a weekly show, it's usually like whatever went on that previous week. We'll talk about those. And then we have little segments, one we call Tinking Tuesday, where I throw on my Jamaican accent, man, and I say, it's Tuesday. You got a tink. You got Man Crush Monday. You got Freaky Friday and tink. You gotta have a Tinking Tuesday. And I will talk about something, like for example, man, when you go into the grocery store and you get up online and it says 15 items or less. Does that mean 15 individual items, or you can only have 15 of one item? If you got 15 bags of potato chips, does that count as one item?
Good point. Good point. You're raising awareness on you're raising the awareness on the things that we, the little people, need to know.
That's it. Those are the things we care about.
Those are those are absolutely the things we care about. So and beyond that, do you have any other things in the works, or is that enough? Is that enough on your plate?
Well, currently, folks will either, I don't know how they'll take this, but I'm an actor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm an actor who happened to be, 25 years in a role that I actually worked in,
Right.
So I'm a bailiff that became an actor, or an actor that did some time as a bailiff. I don't know how you want to put it.
In the business, that's called good typecasting.
That's right. That's right. Well, to that end, I last year I did an episode of Law and Order SVU. I played Chief Berry, the chief of Bear Creek, Kentucky Police Department.
Okay.
So I got an opportunity to kind of semi-stretch there. What I have coming up is the name of the project is The Sterling Affairs, and it's about the LA Clippers Donald Sterling fiasco.
Very interesting.
Lawrence Fishburne plays Doc Rivers, and Ed O'Neill plays Donald Sterling, and I play Alvin Gentry, one of the assistant coaches.
Sure.
So that's a 6-part little mini series that's going to be coming on FX. I think they're looking at premiering it around October to coincide with basketball season.
Sure.
Currently, I can be seen on The Proud Family, Louder and Prouder. The Proud Family is a black animation series that's on Disney.
Some
and it's on Disney Plus, and I actually play the role of, you ready?
Yes.
Judge Byrd.
There's a stretch.
Byrd. Yes. And it even has its own theme song. So if your public can look on YouTube.
Yes.
And they put in Judge Byrd, BYRD.
Okay.
They will see the theme song for Judge Byrd.
Sung by you?
No. Actually,
Okay.
they had a whole production and backup singers and all of that. But I do the voice of Judge Byrd in the actual segment. So Judge Byrd is a fictitious TV judge on the series within the Proud Family series. So it's pretty interesting. My rulings are, if I rule against you, I go, you sir are a dodo.
Nice. So that's your catchphrase.
And the person turns into a dodo bird. Yeah, you know what?
Yeah,
that's animation for you.
It sure is. And I also was reading, and I haven't seen this yet, but I certainly will do so. A 2023 performance in Amy's List as a judge.
Yeah.
Boy, you were really talked up about that. You got really, really, really high praise for it.
Well, it was an opportunity to work with a good friend of mine, Mark S. Allen, and This was his directorial debut, and Amy's effort list, you know, is I think it's been described as a cross between Thelma and Louise and Michael Douglas's performance in Falling Down.
Oh, okay. A guy coming unhinged.
So it's about somebody who has a real bad day and decides, you know, hey, I may be going to prison for this or something, but I'm gonna seek my revenge.
I'm going out with a bang. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. Absolutely.
So you got a lot on your plate then, sir, and things seem to really be going well career-wise.
Things are going well, you know. Amazingly, you know, opportunities open up. You know, I will see people or run into people, and they'll go, "Man, I've been looking for you, man. I have this thing that I'm sure that you'll be interested in." You know, a lot of them are first time efforts and independent productions and stuff. But every once in a while, you know, you search and you get a jewel. You know.
Yeah, you do. Now, this is not something I normally do on any of my episodes, and I've got 80 something episodes up of interviews on my YouTube channel. So a lot of interviews up there. Never done this, but my wife's birthday is around the corner. Could I get a happy birthday, Amy, from the Great Bird?
Oh man, Amy, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday from your man Elvis. Happy birthday to you.
Oh God, that was beautiful, Bird. You know what? If I would have closed my eyes, I would have thought the king was in this room.
Man, let me tell you something. What I should have did was I should have had you use that guy behind you with the with the Mets cap on.
Yeah, that is my bailiff back there. That is the Keith Hernandez puppet. Do you recognize Keith Hernandez?
There it is. I should have known from the mustache.
The great 1986 New York Mets, of which are, you know, I mean, will always have a place in my heart. I'm a diehard, long-suffering Mets fan because we haven't really had a lot to celebrate since, you know, in my lifetime anyway. But
let me tell you something, man. My grandmother, my father's mother, lived until she was 100 years old.
God bless her.
When I was a kid, I remember the three things that I knew most about her. She made the best sweet potato pie ever. Okay. I've never tasted one since like it. 2, she drank Miller High Life. Okay. Right. As opposed to my mother's mother who drank Rheingold. Okay. 3, she loved the Mets. And when they won in '69, there was no happier human being on the earth. My grandmother, she flipped. And then again in '86, you know, man. And
was she still with us in 1986? Did she see the '86 World Series as well?
She was with us in '86.
And did she have a favorite player? I'm curious.
You know what? She liked the entire team. But particularly the '69 Mets.
Sure.
Okay. Sure. So she, you know, Ed Kranepool,
Cleon
Ed
Jones.
Charles, Cleon Jones. Tom Seaver.
Tommy Agee.
Oh, boy.
What a great one.
Tommy.
A lot of great ones.
Man, just I mean, that was the most well-rounded team. It reminded me of the '73 Knicks. You know what I mean? That was the most well-rounded New York team. You know, no superstars. Okay, but everybody, man, contributing, man, to make a great the Miracle Mets. It made them what they were.
Now, usually when I talk about the Mets, I have to usually go and stick my fingers in Keith Hernandez's ears because I was a Mookie Wilson guy. And I'll tell you what, Mookie was never the greatest player out there, but much like yourself, the beaming smile and always seemed to be truly enjoying the fact that he's getting paid to play a child's game.
A child's game, yes.
Yeah, appreciative, always appreciative, and always held his head. And the '86 Mets were a team that were renowned for their debauchery. You know what I mean? They weren't they weren't exactly choir boys, but I think Mookie held himself to a little bit higher standard. So when you read about all the hard partying Mets back in the day, day.
That's
And I
right.
don't have to mention their names. Keith is one of them. Strawberry, Doc Good. And some of them really fell on bad times, but that never seemed to befall Mookie. And I think a lot of it was, his own upbringing, growing up in a very spiritual home or whatever. And I always just gravitated to the fact that, and all my other friends always liked guys that were, cranking home runs left and right. And Mookie was never that guy, but always playing hard.
And that's the thing that counted. You know what I mean? You always gravitate, to me, you should gravitate to the player that has heart, because that's the one that really speaks about the team spirit. Not the crazies that are doing all kind of nonsense to get themselves, plastered on the front page of the paper. Mookie stayed in the back of the paper. He did. In the sports section where you should be. And
that's a guy you want in your franchise. A guy that has integrity. You know what I mean? Which gets lost a lot in amongst athletes. It does.
Right. Yep.
It's been a pleasure talking to you, sir. I appreciate you taking this time. It has really been 80 some odd interviews. This has been one of my favorites, man. You're just a great guy, and I just appreciate you really taking some time to come on here and talk to me. I applaud all the philanthropic endeavors. Hopefully going forward, those are all successful for you. I hope your wife continues and stays the course, and her health continues to, maintain and upward and onward with her. And I just really appreciate you being on here. It's been a blast. Before I go, though, can I get you to look up the Kelly Blue Book on my 2017 Subaru Legacy?
Whoa, listen, I can do that off the top of my head. Don't sell it.
Wise words, my friend. Wise words. No, seriously though, man, this has really been an honor, Mr. Byrd, and I really appreciate it, man. And hopefully we can stay in touch and we can do this again sometime when all this stuff gets going for you, and you're back to being the hot TV star that we know you to be, and you've got some stuff to really talk about. I'd love to have you back on.
Bro, I just got to tell you, man, I've over in 25 years, I've done a lot of interviews, man. And this has been one of my favorites because you, sir, are prepared.
Oh, thank you.
I appreciate you and I'm telling you, man, you can't imagine the value of being able to talk with somebody who's prepared, who's asking you about some things, man, coming from an informed point of view.
Absolutely.
And to have, Keith Hernandez as your bailiff.
Yeah.
Invaluable.
I'm running a tight ship over here, man. I'm running a class act over here, man. I'm trying to. At least the thing is, in this day and age, it's really tough because, everybody is out there podcasting, and this is something that I started last year. I had a couple of detached retina surgeries. I was out, my eyes were, well enough to get on the computer, but unfortunately they kept me out of work. Being a nurse, I do a lot of my work on the computer and stuff.
Right.
So I just, I said, why the hell not? Let me start reaching out and just having some interesting conversations. I get a lot of musicians on here because obviously they always have something to promote, and the music business not being what it was, 30 years ago, these guys are on like constantly looking to promote. It's feast or famine for them right now. I mean, it's really tough being a musician nowadays. I mean, you don't have this, you don't have the standard record deals anymore and the big record contracts and.
Got it. Well, man, if I can turn you on, I got a lot of musician friends, man. A lot of musicians.
Well, that would be great. Yeah. And
so if I can turn them on to you, man,
sure, please do.
because this is just conversational, which is good.
That's what I like. The
best interviews are like, so you're like the Johnny Carson of the podcasters.
Wow. That's high praise coming from you. All I'm doing right now is just waiting for you to tell me to step out.
and I want you to know that's good stuff. That's good stuff.
That is, listen, all of this was good stuff, and I enjoyed myself thoroughly, Byrd, and it was a real pleasure talking to you, sir, and wish you all the success with the with all the charitable things and all the entertainment aspect of your career, Tribunal, Bonding with Byrd. I hope it all takes off for you, man, and I wish you all the success in the world. You've been such a staple in our household, you and Judy, that, I feel like in some way you're Uncle Byrd.
Well, just remember.
Yeah.
I will strike down upon thee with great anger and furious vengeance those who would attempt to poison and destroy my brother. And you will know my name is the Lord. when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
Wow. We just saw Byrd go full Samuel L. Jackson right here on our show, man. And I mean, come on, man. What can't this guy do? For God's sakes, man. You know, a real interesting side note. I'm supposed to have, I'm a huge sports fan. Boxing being my am sport, and I'm supposed to have Tony Weeks on. He's a referee next week, but he not only is he now am I just talking to a referee? Now he happens to be in the #1 movie in the country right now in Creed 3. So I mean, you know. Yeah. But you know, I'll certainly, when I put this episode up, I'll send it to you, and you know, certainly feel free to share it wherever you'd like. You know, I mean, certainly helps me get views and subscribers, man. I know you're a man with a lot of reach, so you know, that would help me a great deal. But
you got it, baby.
It was a blast talking to you, Byrd. Thank you so much, and God bless you, brother. I hope everything stays great for you, brother.
God bless you. Stay healthy, man.
All right, take it easy, Byrd. We'll talk soon, buddy. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Folks, what can I say? Except for you guys can all step out, please, because court is adjourned. That was the great PETRI HAWKINS-BYRD, who actually recognized Keith back there. Keith, told him he was my bailiff, and, you know, he seemed to buy that. I mean, come on. We know that face from 25 years standing side stage. Well, I don't want to say side stage, right next to the bench, protecting and guarding the world's finest television judge, Judge Judy. That's the guy right there. You know him from working the crossword puzzles, looking up the Kelley Blue Book of your car, and always interjecting when he did speak on the show, poignant, memorable moments. And I'm just so happy that he came on here, man. That's a television legend right there. 25-year run on the same show, and it's a court show, #1 court show for all those years. So I would just like to thank PETRI HAWKINS-BYRD for being here, man. And I hope you guys enjoyed that episode as much as I enjoyed chopping it up with Byrd. And until next time, kids, always remember, take it easy and keep it sleeping.